quantum immortality applies to human consciousness, then no matter what happens to you, whether you're struck by a car, burnt by fire, or mauled to death by angry weasels, your consciousness will survive in another of many infinite universes. But how might this work? One possibility is that your consciousness merges unknowingly with another you who's experienced the exact same timeline up until that point. So, in one universe, your family mourns you dying in a car crash. In another, it's just a normal day, and you simply stroll over to this one oblivious that you died this morning. Or perhaps you don't merge with another consciousness at the same point in time. Perhaps you jump to your infant self, or yourself in 10 years. Or maybe there's no merging at all. Maybe you split off entirely, as we said before, and it creates a whole new timeline just for you. But all of these situations are problematic, because death is rarely, if ever, a sudden 50-50 situation. Our two thought experiments both had a binary outcome. But real life and death situations are far more complex. So let's say we assume that your consciousness splits off at a certain point, perhaps when the brain is fully dead. What happens then? How could your consciousness possibly leak out of you and travel the universe? The idea of quantum immortality is based on a variation of the Schrödinger's cat thought experiment, which states that under a specific set of circumstances, a cat in a box can be considered simultaneously alive and dead. This may sound bizarre, but it's based on a genuine scientific principle called superposition. Superposition tells us that if you don't know the state of something, i.e., if a cat is alive or dead, then until you look, it is actually both. Erwin Schrödinger demonstrated this when he imagined a cat locked inside a steel box. This box also contains equipment which could kill the cat at any point. So if there was no way to tell from the outside, one could look at the box at any given moment and assume the cat inside was alive or dead. It is only when you open the box that you can determine which state the cat is in: dead, alive, or super-duper angry. This experiment mimics what happens when we observe electrons, because in many cases just looking at and measuring them changes their behavior. And if this applies to the rest of reality, it means that any given event has multiple outcomes, all occurring at once, until a certain point. But what does this have to do with living forever? What if the cat in the box is both dead and alive, just in different realities? To explain how this would work, let's ask a simple question. If you are the cat inside Schrödinger's box, you would know for certain whether you were dead or alive. Wouldn't you? Maybe not, because while a cat would be aware of its fate, a dead cat knows nothing, as I found out last week during quiz night. The many worlds theory builds upon Schrödinger's cat by offering a new thought experiment, and this one is pretty explosive. If it's true, it suggests that every time you die, your reality splits off, forming a new branch where you continue to live as if death never happened, thus making you immortal. But there's a good reason why it's only a thought experiment, because it would require your death in this reality to prove it. And even then, you'd be the only one who knew. Imagine you are inside Schrödinger's box, and in each individual second, you have a 50% probability of death. 1 second goes by, and nothing's happened. 2 seconds go by. Nothing's happened. 3, 4, and 5 pass, and at this point you're feeling pretty darn lucky. Well, as lucky as someone trapped in a box could be. Now imagine this experiment going on for 100 seconds. The probability of you escaping death is astonishingly small at this point. And yet here you are, alive and well. To an outside observer in your original reality, you died a while back. And you also died several more times in the realities you skipped through as you continued to die. But from your perspective, you haven't died once, because you branched off into another reality every single time. Performing this experiment is the only way we know of to prove that quantum immortality applies to human consciousness. And because it requires your death in this reality, there's a very good reason why nobody has attempted it. Also, since the result would be subjective and viewed through the prism of your consciousness, you are the only person who would know the truth, so it's pointless. We also must point out that we're still not sure if quantum mechanics and consciousness have anything to do with each other, and that the idea of quantum immortality is merely just that, an idea. But if it was real, and it applied to humans, how would it work?